This is Total Telecom TV with Amol Phadke of Accenture. Amol, we're here at 5G World, where a lot of operators are under a lot of pressure at the moment to find new revenue streams. Where should they be looking?
So Brian, our work that we do with the clients suggests that they need to really start adopting the dual speed architecture. What I mean by that is, there's always going to be an existing speed of operation for the operators where the current revenue lines are coming, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. But they need to start adopting this dual speed concept, which is, start creating new software defined services that will be rolled out in a very different speed, almost in a web ops type speed. And that speed of operation is key for them to continue to find new revenue streams, and that's why the dual speed architecture is so important.
Now, of course, they've also got all these new technologies to cope with. NFV, SDN, IoT, 5G, as we're talking about here. How should they be preparing for that?
I think a very structured transformation is critical to the success of this. And what I mean by structured transformation is you need the business, the technology, and the operational dimensions to be considered equally. By business, I mean you need to start looking at these new products and services and think about what that does to your product management. In terms of technology transformation, you really need to start thinking about an ecosystem of technology solution providers that looks very different from what it is today. And in fact, it looks much larger than what it is today. And that is something that they need to start addressing now. And then the final piece of the jigsaw is the operational transformation, which is where they need to start moving away from a hardware-centric, telco-based model to a software-centric, services-based model, which is a huge step change from an operational transformation perspective. So those are the three dimensions they would need to look at in order to convert these technologies and commercialize them successfully.
And within those three dimensions, where does 5G fit?
So clearly in the center, which is the technology transformation, is 5G. Now we are here at the 5G conference in London. My view on the technology is that it's going to take at least 2 to 3 years post-standardization before it starts really seeing the light of the day. But the concepts behind 5G, which is really around ultra high bandwidth, ultra low latency, serving billions of devices on the planet, is something that is really important to adopt now without waiting for the technology. And therefore operators need to start building those use cases based on existing technology and then scale it further when 5G actually starts getting into a production scenario.
With all this happening in the market, do you think we're going to see more M&A activity?
Yes, I think M&A activity is set to continue. We are seeing this in the market all the time. Telcos would consolidate into digital service providers, which means they would want to have a lot of combined offerings serving to the clients, and therefore they won't want to consolidate and get the synergies out of that. So I would suspect in the next 2 to 3 years, M&As would continue, and then we would get into a consolidated end state of telecom operators in Europe.
With all this activity going on, do you think there's a sufficient focus still being given to the importance of connectivity?
I think connectivity sometimes is underplayed, and that's probably not the right thing to do. I believe connectivity still has a huge part to play. It will become commoditized, which is very different from not being important. I mean, some of our most important things around utilities such as power, water, gas are all commodities but hugely important, and connectivity will go into that bracket over time. And so therefore it is important, but what's equally important is to start adopting that dual speed that I mentioned at the beginning, where you concentrate on connectivity to become as standardized as possible, and then you focus yourself on the sort of new services that can ride on top of the connectivity.
Amol, that's a fascinating interview. Thank you very much for giving us your views on the state of the industry today.
My pleasure, Brian.